Hey guys, what is up? My name is David, and I am the head of content over at ConMineRDW, and you are listening to / watching an awesome interview I'm about to do with Caelan Pollock. Pollock?
Pollock.
Caelan Pollock from Aggro Crab Games. He is the lead programmer and writer for Going Under, which is an awesome indie game that I've been playing for the last couple days, weeks at this point, and it is amazing. I scream its praises to the rooftops because it is probably like one of my favorite indie games of the year right now, no cap. But I got a dev. I got another one. And like I said before, my computer's working right, so we can now have full production value going on right now, have an awesome layout happening. This is awesome. So it's like I'm professional. It's like I got something going on here. It feels great. But Caelan, you have something going on. You have a game that's out right now. How's that feel?
The game is out. It feels pretty good. I mean, it's always you're never quite sure what to feel when a project you've been working on for like almost 2 years just is kind of out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially nowadays when like development doesn't stop at all when it comes out. So we really didn't slow down or take a break, like hardly at all. So it is a bit of a surreal feeling to have worked on something for so long, and all of a sudden we're getting all this feedback, we're getting the reviews, and having people buy the game, but then in terms of our like daily lives, barely anything changed, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that in the launch party video, you guys mentioned that it was like you guys only been working for this game for like 2 years, which for you guys was forever, but like in the grand scheme of things, that's like not too long of a time. At least for me, I've never made a game before.
Right.
That seems pretty quick for a game that has so much content like Going Under does.
It's a short, it's a short development cycle for a game of this sort of, I guess, like, I don't know, production value is kind of a fucked term, but I think that's kind of the way people see it.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I swear? Should I not swear?
Yeah, you're fine. You're totally okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it in terms of like, it's from the ground up meant to have like a level of like visual quality and like an amount of content that rivals like that of a much larger studio.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of our philosophy from the beginning. And I mean, part of the way we achieve that is by like cutting corners, just to like be real.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like when it comes to design, and like cutting corners doesn't mean being lazy, but it just means like
finding more
when we're working on the design. Yeah, or when we're doing development, like how long things take is a big deal. So like when it comes to like the art style, like Nick developed this style. He's the art director, like in part because it syncs up really well with like the office culture. It's like that flat kind of advertising style that you see all over the internet for like Facebook and stuff nowadays is what it's kind of trying to mimic. But it's also in part because like things can be cylinders and they look great.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like this allows us to make a lot of assets really fast. And the same thing comes for design. It's like if a bug comes up, obviously bugs that like block people or make people's experience frustrating are no good and have to go. But then it comes to like the physics are behaving weirdly, and they're like, well, maybe it's part of the charm. Like,
but let's really quickly, for people that don't know what Going Under is, you guys have it on your website and you've described it as a satirical roguelite dungeon crawler. And I think that's like a perfect way to describe it in the TLDR form. I like to call it the Millennial Job Market Simulator. That's what I call it when I describe it, which I think is also a perfect marketing term for this game because pretty much the base plot, for those of you who don't know, you're playing as Jacqueline Fiasco, which is a godlike name, by the way. I don't know. You guys didn't have to give her a full name by any means. Let's touch on that really quick. Why Fiasco as her last name?
That one is actually Nick's creation.
Okay.
I do not know. I think if I'm being real, I think we just wanted like a cool last name with like internal rhyming.
Great, yeah. But so you're playing as Jackie, and she starts working for this startup company under a umbrella corporation called Cubicle, and she's working for a startup company called Fizzle, which is a sparkling water which is also a meal supplement, which honestly is probably the most buzzwordy, perfect modern day business you could possibly have her work for. Because I have been drinking so much sparkling water recently. White Claw is the move. So it's like, and then also meal supplements and all that shit. So having a sparkling water company be the base company is just perfect planning for that. But she works for Fizzle as the marketing consultant. But then she gets there on the first day of the job, and then her manager says, "Hey, there's goblins in the basement. Go handle that." And then that's the game. Then hilarity ensues. So, yeah, it's honestly the first like 5 minutes how you guys set that up, where it's just she starts up, you're just like, okay, intro movie, this is cool, this is setting the scene. And even like in the beginning with like I said, with the intro movie, you guys are also hitting like that satirical tone with all of the buzzwords like, Cubicle started with nothing but two dudes in a garage with nothing but a dream and a little bit of investment money. And I'm just like, this is literally Lyft and Uber. Like, this is every single modern day business at its core. So you guys were for sure hitting that nail on the head. And then just going into like the job, like Cubicle's office space, how it's like, anytime you've seen those videos where it's like the best place to work, right. Pixar, Google, Apple offices, modern day millennial workplace, which is damn near almost a daycare. Like, it has a slide in it and everything. Right. It's so open air offices, things like that. Like, really well designed space. So I like how you guys did that. Like, shout out for that. But the fact that you guys pulled all of this off with such a small team, because it's basically like a squad of friends, basically, right? Like, I know you and Nick are like the main two who figured out or like started Aggro Crab, and then you guys went from there.
Yeah, I mean, so Nick and I met in college, and we started Aggro Crab like at the same time as we started developing this game at the start of 2019. Mm-hmm. So we're friends. Nick's also known the Felix, our sound designer and composer, since like way back when. Everyone else is people we met online and hired for this project. Some people we've worked with before, but you know, we are legit. We put out like job listings on. We usually put out our job listings on like Twitter. Like, mm-hmm. Everyone that we hired for this project that we never met before, we basically put the word out on Twitter because we were like, well, this is where we have the most reach. Like, this is where we have followers.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so small squad of friends, just you two, and then you guys did all this in like 2 years. And even like with this current state of how game development is, like, you always hear words about crunch and stuff like that. Did you guys feel like you had to like stress yourselves out more than you would like to make this game come out the way that it did, especially since it launched on all platforms, which I've heard with some indie devs isn't an easy feat, is getting your game out on literally everything at launch?
It's always a nightmare. This game in particular, like, I was very pleased with the amount of crunch that we did not have. Mm-hmm. Like, there's always going to be like late nights in indie dev. That's just like kind of the way. Yeah. It becomes and like usually people are down because people are enthusiastic and they're into what they're doing if they're getting into indie games. But
yeah, you're
when
literally
it becomes
living what you love by making the game. So
right. Mm-hmm. But like when it becomes untenable and when it becomes like crunch is when it comes up like without warning, or it drags on for like weeks and you feel like you don't have a choice. So like there were definitely late nights, mostly by like me and Nick. You know, Sam, our other programmer and game designer, like pulled some late nights too.
But it wasn't like to the extent of like a big AAA title where they're just like, yeah, you can't go home for the next 3 days. We're working on this straight up. Like, you don't sleep or eat. Yeah.
There was never like a week that went by where it was like, okay, I don't have any social time.
Yeah.
I am like sleep deprived this entire week.
Okay.
Well, sometimes I was sleep deprived, but that's my own fault.
But for your own intentions, for the good of the cause, basically.
Right. But mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I felt pretty good about it. It's always I mean, I always feel like when we have to work late, like I take that as like a bit of a failure of management, and like a certain amount of it is inevitable, but like we try to.
If you have to do it too much,
it.
then it becomes a little too crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as porting goes, like a big help with a lot of that kind of I don't want to call it fringe, but like the kind of additional complexity that comes with launching a game. Like we do have a publisher, Team 17, who handled like most of our QA, who like ran our like localization efforts, and then our porting studio we work with, Play Everywhere, who's also based here in Seattle, did a great job porting it. So it's obviously like it's still a very stressful back and forth when it comes to porting to multiple consoles at once and having a simultaneous release. So it's like it was by no means like easy breezy for us.
But you guys
we did have a lot of people along the way to help us out.
Because I have it on my Switch. I've been playing it on Nintendo Switch, and it's honestly, games like this are perfect for Switch because it's just like, oh, I rage, I'm gonna put this down, I'm gonna bring it with me, I'm gonna play some more, I rage, then I put it down, come back to it. But then also I was like on the Epic Games Store, I noticed it's on there.
It's there,
on PlayStation, it's on Xbox. Literally, it's like having that reach to build your audience across all platforms is such a great thing to be able to say for a game, especially in 2020 when we're in like a cross-platform type of world. So shout out to you guys for having that pull off. And then I've noticed on Twitter you guys have a little bit of a roadmap on a development cycle of what you guys would like to have going into like the end of the year, beginning of 2021. There's 3 dungeons based in the game right now, but I saw you guys were trying to even make an extra one and then also add extra skills and other stuff like that. So are you guys still in the planning phases for a lot of that, or like some of those things pretty solidified?
And I mean, like a totally upfront full disclosure, like we probably jumped the gun significantly on posting that. Obviously, like post-launch content is like something that's really important to us. It's something we want to like constantly be working towards. As far as like the specific plans for especially like patch number 2, like I can't make any promises like on air. But one of the big things that we saw on launch, which is like pretty much exactly in line with what we expected, is people like overall the game is very well reviewed, but when people had frustrations, it's usually like when they've already finished the game and they run into sort of the conflict between like what a standard roguelike will offer you, which is basically infinite replayability,
and then roguelites, which are this game ends.
Right, and this game is even like we don't even call it a roguelite. We say it's like roguelite inspired wherever we can, which is just like further abstracting an already stupid term. But like, Going Under was always meant to be like a game that that you complete and it ends and you can feel like you've beaten the game.
I mean, honestly, dude, being 26 and having games come out weekly on Epic Games Store, there's a Game Pass I have on my computer. I still have a Steam list full of games, probably 40 deep by now. I want a game that ends. So, like, all those people that are just all the people that are just like, yeah, I want to keep diving into this game. I want more. I'm just like, play something else. But it is awesome that you do have that fever of people that do want to keep diving into this world that you guys have created. So that's really awesome. But
and I do want to give that to them, right? It's definitely something we're going to work towards. But it's like it's never going to be like the game is infinite, right? It's more like there's a very long extra list of like challenges you can accomplish, But as far as like the story goes, like I'm right there with you. Like it's my philosophy that like I like making games that end, and I like making a story that starts in one place and ends in another for like all the characters.
Let's talk about like the fan base for a little bit. you guys have been doing really good on social media, Twitter specifically, especially with marketing powerhouses. I would just say Fall Guys for right now, where it's pretty much just memeing all over the place and becoming a social media outlet becoming a page on like Twitter where people can follow you, one, because they respect the game, and two, because they just want to see what crazy shit you guys tweet about. And like, for example, Minecraft Steve got announced for Smash like last week, and then you guys immediately tweeted out, oh, so we have Minecraft skins for Jackie and Marv and all the other Fizzle employees. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. They're like on the ball for this. And then like you guys have a whole bunch of other awesome social media stuff you're doing on Twitter as well. So yeah, you guys are on point with that.
And everything you've seen in the past like 3 months or so is thanks to our awesome community developer Lulu, who we again hired off Twitter. And she's just like a meme powerhouse.
Yeah, it's great. And then also you guys have an active Discord community as well, which is how I ended up reaching out to you for this interview. You guys have like all the different pages and stuff like that. So even when, I think also a big thing for like indie game devs as well in this like day and age that we're in is getting that community, not only just by sales numbers, but also just having them all concentrated in one place where they can actually just interact with each other and bounce thoughts off each other with the game. And then even you guys have Ask the Dev section, which is really cool. So people can actually just like ask you guys questions about their experience with the game and stuff like that. And you guys are also active too, so you're actively responding to people. So yeah, you guys are doing a great job with talking to your fans and being social that way. So props to you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a good feeling to have, especially like an active Discord community where people are always talking about the game specifically, and especially one where like people are actually good people. Like I've been in game Discords where like the vibe was just not very chill, but it really makes us feel like we have sort of a solid rock to stand on. You know, there's people who will be excited for our future content and for like our future games even.
Yeah, you guys just have them all wrangled in one place for sure.
It's a great going into the future of Aggro Crab as a studio.
Yeah, but let's talk about the game specifically, because that's why I got you here. I just want to, like I said, I just want to spit praises in your face for the next like couple minutes. First off, like we already talked about earlier, the premise of this game is godlike. Millennial marketing simulator, modern job startups, where sparkling water is like the business that you're based in, and then there's also Cubicle, which is like the umbrella company. And you said the game's premise is like it's a satirical dungeon crawler, so the comedy element is 100% there.
Yeah,
it's writing, like I would say games that can make me laugh when I'm playing them, where they just have a type of self-awareness where I'm just like, holy shit, this is like amazing, is really great. Like I'd say like Paper Mario, for example, it gives off those vibes. Like other games like that. So since you're like the head writer for the game, like what type of things inspired you guys with the scripting and writing of this game?
I mean, so as far as the startup angle goes, like it's just like living in Seattle and having been through college like relatively recently, it's just something we were exposed a lot to. And you know, we had so many friends who were either like successful in the startup space or trying to get into the startup space and failing, or you know, they work at Trader Joe's. You know what I mean? So it's like the whole spectrum is always there. And so like in and there, you start to see this kind of like wealth disparity in Seattle. Obviously, it's like less immediately apparent than a place like San Francisco, but like it's always very, very there. And we lived in a house with just like a bunch of people trying to start startups, and we're over here like making video games in this like cramped house. It was kind of wild.
In a way, Aggro Crab is almost like kind of like a startup in like the video game scene. Do you like, so is that kind of like ironic to you guys, or just like, oh yeah, we're kind of like a small business trying to get up in there, and like Team 17 is like the umbrella for you guys in game development? So
yeah, absolutely. Just like, you know, we do just like run the business of Aggro Crab ourselves. Like 90% Nick. He's far better at it. But I mean, as far as the satire angle goes, we always knew that we wanted to make some kind of a satire game, like from the beginning. And like my philosophy on it has always been like there's a difference between a satire game and like a game with satirical elements in it, because I really don't think there are that many satire games out there. I think many games, especially indie games, have like a satirical element to them.
Like what examples would you give of like satirical elements? Satirical
elements? I mean, like in... Oh shit, you caught me off guard with that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. So would you say like kind of like self-aware jokes, like I said with like Paper Mario, where they're just like, oh, that was like a jab at this one thing, but it's like still referenced in the world. But this one is dead ass like, oh yeah, dating apps, they're shit. So
it's like I think the difference in strategy and mindset is more that just like everything in the game like needs to justify itself as satire or as a joke, like before going in the game.
Yeah.
Like the whole world and every line of dialogue is like crafted around selling that idea. That kind of like tongue-in-cheek world.
Because like for example, in the third dungeon, Styx Coin, it's just a literal dungeon based around cryptocurrency. And it's like, oh, I get it. They're mining for crypto because you mine for, and there's servers everywhere. And then the freaking store, like I had a whole clip on this on Twitter. When I first went into the Styx Coin store, it's a fucking Supreme pop-up shop. And I was just like, oh my God. It's like, it doesn't say Supreme, but it's like Styx Coin on there. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is literally that. And then the freaking, the damn shopkeeper is named Zans. And it's a skeleton with a low fade and like designer clothes. And I was like, is this fucking Sam? I was just like losing my mind playing that. So I was just like, that's like what you mean with the satirical. I'm just like, yeah, we're just tossing in those things. If you know, you know. If you get it, you get it. Even like Winky Dink is really like it's genius dungeon design with that. I fucking love Winky Dink. It's so good. But yeah,
it really is just like a game of like I guess balancing the niche jokes with the very in-your-face ones.
Yeah.
And just accepting that like some of them are going to go by some people, and that's fine because there are so many jokes in the game that you're gonna run into the jokes.
Yeah, I was telling my friend, I was like, this game you could actually get for a kid and they would enjoy it for the gameplay. But then it's like, this is pretty much, we're starting to get to that time where it's like, oh, this is how my dad felt watching Shrek with me. Damn. Just like, oh, the jokes are for me, but the game is for them. Oh no. So
one of the funniest examples of that was we have people ask us all the time. They're like, I like completed the whole game and I still don't know what the yeet skill does. We're like, it makes you throw better.
It's supposed to be, but yeah, it's like that's all she yote, and I was like, I fucking hate it here. I was just like, there's so many times I was playing the game, I was just like, Jesus.
But I think it's very on brand for players to like be unable to understand the skills because they don't understand the lingo.
And also that's like perfect for like it's perfectly mixed with the game design too, because like there's a lot of roguelikes out there right now, and let's actually talk about that. There's like you guys launched and you were actually self-aware about it. You guys launched sandwiched in between Spelunky 2 and Hades.
Yeah.
And Hades, everyone's praising Hades to the heavens, and I'm just like, I haven't touched that game yet because I'm playing Going Under, and then I haven't played Spelunky 2 yet. But it seems like you guys are pretty. It's not like a turf war with you guys. You're pretty much just like, yeah, you guys launched, you guys are successful. We launched, we're successful, but it's pretty much up to the players to be like, okay, which poison are they gonna take? Which one are they gonna play?
Yeah, it's always like a little bit of a turf war because that's just like how capitalism is. Like certainly I think we can look at our numbers, obviously not to get like really inside baseball.
Yeah.
But we could be like, very invested and be like, yeah, Hades like ate our lunch a little bit. But I do think ultimately, especially when it comes to like games that share a genre, and especially I think us and Hades have both seen a lot of success in like getting new people into the roguelite genre that previously wouldn't have touched it. So in that sense, like I definitely think like a rising tide raises all boats. Like even if we could sit around being like, oh, if we hadn't launched in the same week as Hades, like our sales would have been better in week one. But I think ultimately like getting more people into the community is only good, and especially like when we're releasing future content, like it makes a big difference for people to have been invited into like the roguelite space.
Yeah, for sure. But it's great that you guys are holding your own in this really tight time for games specifically, since we're so close to like the next gen and stuff like that too. So let's see, but let's talk a little bit about I want to touch one more time back on the writing. How you guys, like I said, it's a game that's totally 2020 in its vibes and its writing, and even in the representation in what I would say is like it's not throwing it in your face, but if you notice it, you notice it. Where it's like they were talking about dating apps in like Tappy and I forgot the short one's name, but
Kara.
Yeah, Tappy and Kara. They were talking about how it's so hard to talk to girls on dating apps, and I'm like, oh, okay. Nice. And then it's like if you're and then even like with some of the theming of some of like the issues that you guys are touching on with like workplace stuff in the plot, how it's like like mansplaining type of stuff. One of the bosses is named Hover Hands, and I was just like, oh, that's fucking clever. And then like when you're getting the things for the plot devices, people start being like, oh, I'm starting to feel like I can work myself to death, or it's like, oh, I feel like I can't speak up because of this thing that's in the office. And I was like, oh, okay, clever. So you guys did a really good job on that, to where it's like it's included in the plot of the game, but also it's like it's not to the point where some like you'll get a whole bunch of people in the comments where it's like, oh, they're pandering, they're doing that thing, and it's like, yeah. But I saw the one post on Twitter where it was like someone on Steam, they were like, can you only play as the girl and why? And you're just like, the girl.
Right. The woman.
The woman, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been surprised by like the lack of toxicity we've been exposed to. There were we did see a few people in YouTube comments calling us like communist propaganda, which is tight.
You're like, yes.
Well, yeah. It's funny how people will always like read into the politics of a situation when it's made with like this clearly like strong intent.
Yeah.
Even though the actual like politics in the game are not radical. Mm-hmm. There's it's not a game with like a strong political message necessarily. It's not even like directly anti-capitalism. It's very like critical of capitalism in a lot of ways.
And like touching on like how we mentioned earlier in the interview, you're 23. This is literally our generation talking on how we feel about the job market, life, etc. So like if anyone's talking about like negatively about like, oh, you guys are pandering, it's like, no, dude, this is literally how we feel about this stuff. It's just in a game. So it's like you can't say we're pushing an agenda, because this is dead ass what we know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's great. I think that's awesome. I'm looking forward to when more devs of like my age range keep making games, and then I just keep hearing people bitch about it. It's great. I thrive off that shit.
Yeah, we live for the bitching. It's also like, I don't know. I get a little salty when people are like, oh, I'm so glad this game doesn't like shove politics in my face. I'm like, fuck you, man. I want to. It's my game.
Yeah.
I just think I should have shoved it in your face more now.
Let's see. Let's touch on the art style for the game, because it's so unique. And so with me and my friends, someone will see a game and they're like, oh, yo, this is a David game to the T. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And it's like, it's super colorful. It's charming. It's like, it's super, like this game it's not like every other roguelite, whatever out there where it's like, oh, it's dark and gritty and it's bloody and whatever. This one is like, it's claymation figures beating each other up in an office space. And I'm just like, that's so dope. I love the art direction. When people are talking to each other, like the art style shifts to like this whole 2D animated art style, which is so well made. So how did you guys decide on, like you touched on this earlier, how did you guys decide on having the visuals for the graphics and stuff look one way, but then the game looks all derpy and claymation-y?
It was really just, like from the beginning, we wanted to, it started with the lumpy tube people that are like in the physical game.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want this to emulate the lumpy tube people from like a Facebook advertisement or like what have you, right? Mm-hmm. It's this kind of like flat, very charming art style. Everyone is like wild colors, so you can't even like say shit about race. Like it's an art style that's been designed by corporations to not offend anyone ever. Mm-hmm. And so then like taking that dynamic and throwing it into this like bleak world where people like have real issues and the policies of these companies and the people in them like actually cause harm to people was always like a juxtaposition that really excited us. Just like taking the piss out of this corporate kind of safe aesthetic, yeah. Right? When it came down to like the more detailed like character portraits and stuff, that mostly came from a desire to flesh them out a little bit more as characters. So we're like, well, this is not an art style that's good at showing like complex emotion, mm-hmm. Right? And we want these characters to be real people, not just like caricatures and not just blob people.
Yeah.
So it was like a little bit of a back and forth on like how cartoonish are the character portraits when you're like having a real face-to-face conversation with someone, mm-hmm. And how real are they? Because we also like Hades was in early access by this time that we were like really launching into development on this game, mm-hmm. And those characters are all like to not beat around the bush. Everyone is horny for these characters.
Yes.
And we were like, we want a piece of that pie.
But it's like only portrayed in like the visual key art and stuff like that, rather than the actual game in-game avatars and stuff like that.
Right, which is just kind of like, it's just kind of the vibe, you know. Mm-hmm. I think more than anything, it's like it's interesting that these characters have like multiple forms. I always like the feeling in games that they are like they're a little bit of a play set, right? Like one thing can be visualized one way, mm-hmm. here, and then down in the game itself, it's like
they just look the way that we're seeing when they're talking to each other. Yeah.
Like representation, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really love the art direction. I feel like that's like for sure one of the main draws of the game. I saw that you guys got some art like commissioned for some graphics, like when you guys did the launch party graphic, and I had to dig to find the art because it was Jackie running through the Winky Dink office, and it was like one of the imps and like another demon like on her, and I was like, that's hot, I need to find that. So I had to dig for it. I found it. It's a wallpaper. Great. So but it's good to see that you guys have like game that has models that are just in that universe, but then people can also have other stuff to go off of where it's like, I'm gonna draw that. So
yeah, well,
mm-hmm.
The fan art response has been like incredible for this game. That's like has been my favorite part about launching, I think. Like,
so was a goal for you guys, like when are you in the office, to be like, yo, I'm gonna check Rule 34 real quick. I'll let you know if I find anything. You're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so
you're just like, actually
it is on our bucket list to see porn of one of our games. Because I'm not offended by it. I'm not like into it, but I'm not offended by it. Like I think it just shows that people like the characters.
Yeah.
And then we finally got it for this game, And
Nice.
Nick was like not having it. He's like, I'm sorry I asked.
It's like, I regret asking.
Yeah,
Speaking
like
of,
this has disturbed me.
Speaking of which, let's talk really quick about some things that you guys have been working on, or like at least some things that you guys probably have been thinking about for future content for the game, and also in terms of marketing. So I've just been waiting. I'm still waiting to this day. You guys have a really cool throw blanket that you guys have partnered with, like Throw & Co. That's visually stunning. I can't get it SMH, but it looks great. But I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of people that are waiting to sell this thing out, a Winky Dink Imp body pillow, because in game there's a body pillow that you get in the second dungeon, and it has a whole very low resolution illustration on it. And I'm like, I know damn well someone has that on their computer in HD, and I want to see what that looks like, and I want that on a pillow, and that's perfect. That's like $80 easy. So it's just like,
I'll send you the picture if you want it. First of all, we've been kicking the idea of this body pillow back and forth for a while.
Just
because
pull the trigger, dude. Just do it. Easy money.
I definitely, because like, I don't know, I know people want it. It's really just like a question of like,
do we want to pull the trigger on this? How
much of the brand do we want to be horny? Like, definitely.
Yeah.
Already had other merch. I'd be like, no problem, run it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, when we're still in the early,
make that a stretch goal of sorts. Yeah.
I don't know if we want to be like, we just sell body pillows.
I mean, even also, like I saw like one of the bosses has a pop socket of that specific brand on it, and I was like, oh, that's cute. I like branded going under pop sockets. That's trip. That's hip. That's trendy. Or even like just posters of like visuals that are in the game, like Joblin office posters or stuff. Like, you guys have a plethora of things you can pull from. So honestly, this is just me trying to convince a dev to make things I can buy for their game. So
you don't need to be convinced, trust me. It's just it's a process that takes time. We are in it's in the works. If we're gonna do it, like, we want to do it as well as possible. We want to be giving people like high quality stuff. Because I mean, we could have jumped on it from day one and been like, hey, we're gonna go to this like custom poster retailer, but like we wanna work with people who are like really vetted, who like we know we can be giving people like the high quality shit. Sure. So trust me, I want merch as much as you want it. It's like, I mean, first of all, it makes me money, but also like I'm just very stoked to see
people walking around with like a Chibi Jackie pin or something like that on their jacket.
That's a great thing to do as a studio. So like, it's definitely coming. The exact form and the time I can't speak on right now.
Hashtag.
But for sure, it's happening.
Ring that bell. Stay posted. And then, really quick before we wrap up, praises to the music. Whoever worked on the music of this game, I just be vibing. I have the whole playlist downloaded on YouTube on my phone, and it is, I vibe to the Office music and the Winky Dink Office music. I always tell my friends, one of my favorite things that music producers do as a meme or serious is when they have a squeaky bed noise in their song. And when that kicked in, I lost my mind. I was like, they did not do that. So, and also I've been seeing like some mashups of like the second Joblin song on Twitter. And it was like the most clutch thing. So yeah,
I think I saw you guys. Felix Beasley, aka King Felix, has been our sound designer and composer for like every project Nick and I have done together. He is a king, and we're so happy with the music. Yeah,
you guys for sure knocked that out of the park on all bases with this game. Honestly, I still love it. I haven't personally rolled credits yet. I'm in like the second half, and things have turned up, and I'm raging. So we are as I should be, but I'm having a great time the whole way through. It's like a perfect game, like I said, on Switch to pick up, play, rage, put down, bring with me, pick up, rage, put down, go down the toilet, pick up, rage, place it down. So, again, shout out to you guys. Amazing game. keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep posted on all the stuff that you guys do from here on out through the rest of the development roadmap and stuff like that. But really quick, Caelan, I want you to just give everyone a shameless plug of the game, of you, of where people can get more information and stuff like that on Going Under and Aggro Crab.
So, Going Under can be found on Steam by searching Going Under. It's on all the consoles, obviously. Our Twitter is just twitter.com/agrocrabgames. Are there any other links that are important? What's the link to like the Discord? I don't even remember it. It's like discord.gg/agrocrab.
It's on the Twitter or the website too, I think.
Yeah, you can also find it from like all these other places.
Yeah.
So if you like the game, join the Discord. If you haven't heard of the game, check it out on Steam. And even if you don't feel like buying it right now, wishlisting also helps out a lot and helps us get traction on our like future updates. So that is always great.
Awesome. And that is basically it, guys. We're back with awesome interviews. Shout out to you, Caelan and Aggro Crab and the Going Under team for having the courtesy to be here and hang out and talk to us a little bit about their game. Again, congratulations for the launch. Keep doing those awesome things. And shout out to you guys for watching. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.